Hi, I'm Kevin,
And I'm Amanda.
and we are serving up.
All that jam. A lighthearted look at the weekend jam bands.
Where we break down the jam scene's biggest stories,
Talk new bands.
upcoming tours,
And show reviews. A little laughing, some hot takes, and an always positive message for the community.
Catching up with Cedric Burnside.
All right, well, we are here today with Cedric Burnside, an electric blues guitarist, drummer, singer, songwriter, and Grammy Award winner who is on the road right now. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you guys for having me. I apologize for all the wind.
Oh, I live in Colorado. We know about wind.
All right. All right.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for this. We're really excited to talk to you today. You have a lot going on. Why don't we maybe just start with that? You are on tour right now. Can you tell us a little bit about who you're playing with and how that's been going?
Yeah. It's actually been going very, very well. I got a couple legs of this tour with JJ Gray and Mofro. And we actually own the last two shows of the first leg. Tonight we're playing Omaha, Nebraska. We're about an hour away. And then tomorrow we're playing Des Moines, Iowa. Des Moines will be the ninth show of the first leg. Then I go home for about a week and a half, and then we kick it back up, do the down south tour, New Orleans, Hattiesburg, Mississippi,
All right. And
places.
for people who may not know, can you tell us a little bit about where you're based and where you come from, your roots in your musical journey?
Yeah, I'm from Mississippi, a little town called Tullahoma. And yeah, my big daddy was R.L. Burnside. He was a hill country blues legend from our area. And, he the one that gave me my start. Well, actually, he gave the start to the Burnside family, as well as other great musicians who love this style of music. And, I'm just kind of keeping it going, as a big part of my life. I love this style of music, hill country blues. And I'm just trying to keep it going, make sure people get the hang of it.
Well, what is that to you? What is hill country blues? How would you describe it, or what feeling does it evoke for you?
Well, if I'm gonna be honest, it provokes all types of feelings. It can make you feel good. It can make you feel sad. Even and sometimes a bit confused. Um, but it's true music to me. And that's the key word to me is true. Um, Stand true to yourself. Uh, the things that uh, my big daddy talked about in his music. It's actual things that really happen. And the same with my music. The things that I talk about in my music is things that really happen. And where I grew up from, where I grew up at in the hill country of Mississippi, it was a very rural area. My big daddy was a sharecropper, and by that we didn't have a whole lot. When it comes down to food or money, um, I grew up in a house that didn't have running water, didn't have a bathtub, didn't have a toilet, none of that. And so, I thank the Lord for putting me in a better position, these days. Um, but that's basically what the music is about to me. It's just, it's very real, very raw. What you hear is what you get. That's exactly what it is. And when you see me perform shows, what you see on the stage is what you get. That's what you're hearing on the album also. And the same with my big daddy before he passed. So this music is just very true music to me. That's what it means to me. Just being true, being raw and giving the people, giving it to the people how it really happens.
Your music reflects your personal experiences and emotions. How do you navigate the vulnerability of sharing those stories with your audience? Because you're kind of all out there.
Yeah. I have come to, accept where I come from, as well as, my music and what it is. And I put it out there in hopes that people, some people can relate. And I do know that some people, grew up a little bit different than me. But if they, really can't relate to it, I hope that they understand the story of where I come from. There was times where I was a bit ashamed of where I come from, just because, it was a kind of rural area and I grew up very poor. But as I got older, I realized that, it made me part of who I am today. Just being the guy that I am today, I come from that. It humbled me a lot, made me stronger, and made me love more, made me appreciate things more. So if people can't relate, maybe they haven't had that type of lifestyle growing up, at least, they can kind of get a clear picture of where I come from. So that helps me relay my message to people, because I have more confidence in my self of where I come from now.
Yeah. And so your choice of recording location for Hill Country Love, was that specific, meaning that you chose to record in that space? And I'd love for you to talk a little bit about that, to convey more of that kind of personal emotion, or how did that come about, I guess, because it's kind of unusual where you chose to record. I think it was a former law office. Is that right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Well, it was in a little town called Ripley, Mississippi. And that office, it's one of the oldest buildings in that town. It was like 150 years old. And I came across that building looking for a juke joint to open up for my own self. I was trying to bring something back to the community that's been gone for a long time. That was part of my life growing up as a kid, is, playing house parties and juke joints. And so I was trying to open up my own juke joint, and I picked that building. Of course, it needed a lot of work. And that's the reason why I did, keep the building. But during the time when I found the building and I was cleaning it out to get it prepared to open, I realized that the building had great acoustics. It had wooden floors, wood walls, wood ceilings, and that it sounded like a big jukebox. And so at the time I was also on tour with my good friend. I like to call him brother from another mother, Mr. Luther Dixon. And we was doing a tour called Voices of Mississippi. And I mentioned to Luther on that tour that I was ready to record another album. And I wasn't really thinking about the acoustics in the building at the time. And then, it dawned on me. I said, man, look, he told me to come to his studio, which is Zebra Ranch. Luther's from Coldwater, Mississippi. We grew up about 25 minutes away from each other. And he was telling me to come to the studio. And then it reminded me how the acoustics was in the building. And I told him about it. And he was like, well, man, you want to record there? And I was like, wow, I didn't really think about it, although, I love the acoustics in there. And so, yeah, I agreed. I said, yeah, let's do it. So he brought all of his equipment from his studio and brought it to that building. And he set up everything there. And, we just put ourselves in music mode and just went crazy recording songs. And in about 2 days, we recorded 14 tracks.
Were those any songs that you had been playing live already, or were they new kind of entirely?
They was all entirely new, except for Pro Black Matty that's on the album, which one I used to play with my Big Daddy all the time. So that one right there was just a tribute to my Big Daddy. But believe it or not, I recorded this album before I won the Grammy. I recorded this album at the end of 2021. So I'm glad it's finally coming out. I have several more now.
Was it a kind of a COVID era thing, that kind of that time in between from recording until, or was it just a matter of scheduling and making sure you were scheduling the drop the way you wanted to?
Well, it was a matter of just having the time to finish it. When we went in there, I had wrote a lot of these songs before I recorded it, and before I mentioned it to Luther, I had wrote over half of the album. And then when we went into the studio, I wrote a couple in the studio. In the building that we recorded in, I wrote a couple there, and one of those songs that I wrote in the studio in the building was "Closer."
Mm-hmm.
I actually wrote that in the building. Just it was a song that I wanted to write, but I didn't really know how to structure the song. I just knew I wanted to talk about my faith in the world, and people I wronged, and people that wronged me, and just to know that you're not gonna always get it right, and so that's where that song was inspired from, those feelings that I had of just doing things in the world and going out there and trying to have faith to try to do it the way I need to do it, and so I wrote that song in the building, and I decided to put "Shake 'Em On Down" on there as well in the building.
I'm trying to think of how to ask this question, because I'm thinking of this recording process that you described, but also knowing that you have been out touring on the road since you were, I think I read 13, 14 years old. You got a couple years in, to being out
Correct.
there. Do you find it a challenge ever to get your recordings to feel the way it feels to play live, or in your mind, are they just two different things and they are not meant to necessarily be the same?
Wow, that's a great question. I when I go in the studio, I have pretty much that same mindset as I'm on stage playing live. And I like that same setup and everything. Most of the time when I go in the studio, I try to have everything set up just like we on stage, like a band. And sometimes engineers have to do a lot of uh, looking up their sleeve to try to set it up right. Because it bleeds a lot. Certain ways that you set up things with the drums and the bass and the guitar all in the same room, it bleeds a lot, and so you have to find really good ways to make everything work right. But before I go in the studio, I already have my songs structured the way I want them to be, and I think that cuts down a lot of studio time. Not that I'm trying to rush or anything, but I just like to be prepared before I go in there, and not just go in there and try to create a whole album while I'm in the studio. It's just never the way I ever did it. I think the good Lord blessed me with the talent to play music, but he also blessed me with the talent to structure my music the way I want it structured, and to just go in there and lay it down and come out, you know.
Oh yeah, for sure. And as I was thinking about that in relation to you being on the road with JJ Grey, because that's a band, they may not describe themselves this way, but that's a band that kind of gets brought into the genre of music called jam bands, which is kind of where Kevin and I spend a lot of our listening time, where there's such a focus on that live performance and unique live performances, and bringing something different to them. And so thinking about your work and what they do, I'm kind of just curious your experiences maybe with the audiences. Has it been a typical audience setting for you? Is there anything different about being with them in particular?
Yeah, I mean, all the guys, the whole band is really cool. But some of the audiences that I'm playing for with JJ Grey, some of them had never heard of me before in their life. Which is cool, because that's the thing, that there was people that's at the show that have heard of me and never heard of JJ Grey, so it's kind of a thing of introducing audiences to different music, and they all receive it. Everybody leaves there in total awe. They are happy, they have fun, they buy merch, they leave their new fans. Although my music is way different than JJ, it fits. I think different is good a lot of times. And so when I play music, when I'm playing set every night, the people receive it well. Even the people that haven't heard of me before in their life, they receive it well. And they tell me that, they're a new fan for life. So I think everything works, together for the good when it comes down to, things like this. Two different bands, two different styles. And especially I'm going to say, coming from two different cultures, so it's working, I really like it a lot.
How do you approach the set list? Is it the same set list every night, or are you changing it up night to night?
Well, it's pretty much the same set list, but I try to add a couple of new songs in there every night. I try not to play, every song the same every night. I might throw a Junior Kimbrough song up in there. I might throw a couple of my Big Daddy songs up in there. And then I just switch from, albums. I might play some from Ben Canarelli. I'll be trying as well as the new album, Hill Country Love. But there's about 6-7 songs on there that I play every night, just because, the people request those songs the most. So I try to play those every night.
The hits. They're the hits.
Thank you.
No, I'm with you. I think all artists have hits. I say that to some artists and they're like, I don't have hits. And I'm like, but you do with your fans. There are songs that people who come to see you want to hear you play,
Yeah. Well, that happens every night, it's a specific songs, that people want to hear. And and I try to get those songs out, first.
Give the people what they want.
Yep.
All right, so let's get a little deep here. As a custodian of Hill Country Blues tradition, how do you ensure its preservation while allowing it to evolve and remain relevant to contemporary audiences?
Well, that's a great question too, man. Well, just growing up, with my Big Daddy, RL, I kind of got the old school, spirit and sound from him, but because I'm a younger generation, and doing my own thing as well, that makes it a bit modern. you know, and that's good because I want to, I want to pave my own way. I want to make my own, steps into, my own thing. And I think that's what my big daddy would want as well. Um, but just growing up with my big daddy and people like, the cats like Junior Kimbrough and Ota Turner, they showed me the ropes, and that's where I get my old soul from because um, my big daddy played a lot of that old school music for me as a kid, and I was one of many grandchildren that was like, "Wow, man, what is this?" I loved it, and that sound captured my heart. It really captured my heart, and so I just kind of let it flow and come out the way it comes out, and a lot of times out sounding a little old, but also sounding a little modern all at the same time because I'm doing my own thing as well, and so the old school sound just come from me being around my big daddy my whole life. I'm glad that the audience receive it, well, and I'm just gonna continue to write music and put it out there the best way I can.
So what is it like? Do you get the call that you won the Grammy beforehand, or are you there when you win the Grammy?
No, I was there when I found out. They called my name before I walked up on the stage. Um, but I have to say, man, Kevin, I was sitting there and my expectations. I don't expect anything, so I try not to go in anywhere expecting anything. But I did have a pretty good feeling that my album was good enough to win. I did have that feeling. Um, did I expect to win? No, I did not. Oh, man, when they called my name, I was like, wow. You get me? They just called my name. Um, I'm humble, man. I'm honored and I'm humble. Um, and my big daddy flashed in my mind, because he opened the door for me to be able to do this, for me to be able to do my thing, and to win a Grammy for the first time in the Hill Country. Nobody ever did that. Not even my big daddy. So, that was a beautiful feeling to win that Grammy. Although I think it's just one of many. Um, I thought about him. I thought about Mr. Junior. And where I come from versus where I was at that very moment. It was a beautiful, beautiful feeling.
I love the way that you just described that sense of, not knowing if you were going to win, but at the same time feeling so honestly good and proud of the work you did, which is really what it's all about. And to me, that feels like a win in itself. So I love that you went in with that mentality, because I feel like that's what I want everybody to have, all the artists that I love that are out there working,
Yeah, I was very proud, of just being there for one. So you're correct. I was proud to be nominated for a Grammy because, I think that's a big thing. That carries you a long way as well. Um, but to be able to win one was just icing on the cake. And it just made me feel very humble and very happy to be there and to just do it for the older cats that's no longer here, to let them know that they opened the door and I actually walked through the door, because not everybody know how to walk through the door, to get that start. When the door is open, a lot of people are scared to walk through it. So I just hope that they know that, uh, I walked through that door. I made that effort to keep this music going, no matter the struggle, no matter the challenges. And here we are today. We got a Grammy in the Hill Country.
Yeah, to accept and embrace that and know that you that's where you belong. And I saw a quote on your website, and it had to do with, once that happens, people sometimes treat you differently or something like that. And I honestly, it made me curious because I have thoughts on what that might be, but I don't know. Are there any things that really did change for you that you've had to kind of pay attention to, maybe in terms of how you handle your songwriting from this point on?
Well, my life really changed when I started getting the accolades. It really started to change before, the Grammy, winning the National Endowment Award was a big thing. It came with a $25,000 check, and so just when things start to push you to the next level, I don't really know how to explain it. It's just like your family, some family members, think they should get the treatment that you get. Some friends think they should get the treatment that you get, and very well, I think everybody should get great treatment. But you work hard for that. You don't. It's not just given to you, on a silver platter. You have to work hard for it. And I think that some family members, think that you owe them something, and you really don't, as well as friends. And so it started to get a little rocky there. And so I kind of expressed myself in through this album, Hill Country Love. And if you listen to some of those songs, you'll instantly know that I'm expressing myself from some things that I went through. But this album also was made with a lot of love. We was in that building, man. We laughed, we cracked jokes, we ate good food and drank good drinks, and it was all just a big ball of love in that building. Although I was talking about things that I have been through in my life, in the past, things that happened to me through family and friends. My music made a way to just make it peaceful and easy for me to express myself.
Is it hard to maintain a balance between acknowledging life's challenges but wanting to inspire optimism and empowerment?
Oh, wow, Kevin, I'm gonna say hell yeah. Yeah, it is hard, man, to maintain. Um, man, I go through challenges all the time. I thank the Lord that He gave me a way to kind of deal with them. But I say all the time that life, just living life. I think the universe is going to throw you something every day, to write about. Good or bad, it's going to throw you something. And that's just what the universe does to me every day. My life is great, but there's sometimes I go through challenges and I don't really know how to express myself or how to, get the point across without, wanting to be physical, if you know what I mean, And so music helps me with that a lot. Music helps me with that a lot. And I'm at a place now where I can just go outside on the porch and write a song about my experience, whether that's with a family member or with a friend or just in life, period. Thank the Lord.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm just thinking about all that you just said. And you've got a lot of touring coming up. You're also going overseas, and I've found a whole bunch of articles, most of which I wasn't able to translate. But you have played in so many different parts of the world, bringing what you do, everywhere. And I guess I get curious about that because we've talked to other artists who've had varying experiences playing overseas. I don't know, how is that process for you? Or are there places you've been where you really felt that connection, just like you were talking about earlier?
Yeah, I go places in the world where I can play my music and see the people singing it word for word. And of course that makes me feel amazing. Um, but I have been some places um like Poland, and I didn't really know how they was gonna, receive my music.
Mhm.
Um, but it was the most, uncomfortable country that I have ever been to in my life. Um, every country that I have been to overseas, it was beautiful. It was awesome, amazing. Um, but Poland was one of the countries that was further there. I was going there, but it was it was a really weird, energy there the whole time I was there. I was there for 31 days, and it was a weird energy. Um, I won't get too far off in it, but it was an energy that I didn't like. Um, and so that's the country that I hadn't been to since. That was 2012. Um, but for the most part, especially in Europe, like France and Italy and all those places, they receive uh, hill country blues very well. Holland, they love it, and I love those countries. Australia is another country that um, you know my big daddy took me to the first time when I was about 16 years old, and they love the hill country blues there, and so I try to go there uh, at least once a year. It didn't happen this year, but they're working on it for next year, 2025. Um, but yeah, those experiences is um, I hoped you was talking about the experience I was just talking about with family and friends. Um, but yeah, I have ran across weird energy, you know, in
Oh no. There it is. All right, I think that we're gonna have to wrap this up because Amanda has a real job. Is anything else you want to throw out there? This is probably gonna air like 2 weeks from now, 3 weeks from now.
Okay. Well, first I want to thank you guys for having me. Um, and it's really cool to get to talk about, these things. You know, uh, the other side, of your life. It's really good to talk about that. Um, but yeah, my album come out April 5th. Um, and I'm always writing music. You can pre-order the new album right now. It's on pre-order as we speak. You can go to my website, Facebook, Instagram, and get all the information there to pre-order. And a whole lot more music. I got several more albums under my belt that I'm hoping to shoot you guys way pretty soon.
Oh, you know it. And I was actually telling Margaret that I will be waving to you from the crowd from the Broadside. I'll be at Jazz Fest second weekend this year. So got my tickets for
All
your show.
right.
I'm super excited. And I just appreciate all that you do and all that you give to us. So thank you so much.
Thank you guys. Thank you so much. And I'll see you soon.
Right on. Okay, thank you. Take care.
Thank you, Margaret.
All right.
Pleasure. Thanks, guys. Have
All
a
right.
good one.
Bye-bye.
If you are enjoying All That Jam, please like and subscribe to our social media channels at All That Jam Pod on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, or visit our website allthatjampod.com. Make sure to sign up for our email list and tune in every week for new episodes.
Also, look for full interviews on our YouTube channel. And remember, stay beautiful, but don't stay underground too long.